Russia-Ukraine news. Russia's dual strategy in Africa was on full display at the Russia-Africa summit. Researchers Maxime Audinet and Emmanuel Dreyfus, examining Russia's strategy in Mali, described it as a two-sided presence, with both official and unofficial actors involved. During the 2023 Russia-Africa summit and the accompanying public forum in St. Petersburg, the contradictory nature of Russia's engagements in Mali and elsewhere on the continent were on full display. Trade and investment, diplomatic relations, public diplomacy, and UN initiatives are all examples of the official side of Russia's engagements in Africa. The opposing side consists of the underground or unofficial group. Russia's intelligence services, as well as state-controlled media like RT and Sputnik, come into play here. Russia's dark side of foreign policy was well represented at the 2023 Russia-Africa summit despite the summit's focus on the light side. Handling of messages. The official side's goals were extremely broad, covering everything from commerce to the arts. However, some details were highlighted more than others. Companies in the agricultural, mining, and technology sectors, as well as academic institutions, feature prominently among the official partners of the summit and forum. Russia has turned these areas into niches where it can remain competitive on the continent, despite its inability to compete with China, the United States, and Europe in other areas. After Russia pulled out of the grain deal, many of the participants made communication, logistics, and farming into top priorities. The speeches delivered by Russian officials, Putin included, had a generally pessimistic tone. They described a world in which Africa and Russia are under constant attack from the West. To counter the West's aggressive policies and establish a truly multipolar world, this scenario calls for Russia and Africa to work together, as they supposedly did during the Cold War. All of these strategies are standard fare in Russian diplomacy with Africa. Many of the inconsistencies in Russia's African diplomacy were on display at the summit's conclusion. Putin has claimed that the conference was attended by delegates from virtually every African nation and that the low turnout of only 17 heads of state was due to pressure from the West. Businesses on both sides of the ocean closed deals, and government agencies on both sides of the ocean signed agreements. Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, despite its significance to continental affairs, was rarely discussed in the public sphere. Putin did briefly mention the African peace proposal, but the Russian speakers were able to successfully disentangle the Kremlin's vision of international security from the peace in Europe. Putin specifically asserts that Africa's security can be guaranteed because Russia aids Africa in bolstering its sovereignty. By using such language, Russia paints Africa as a helpless recipient, rather than a potential partner and source of solutions. There were other apparent inconsistencies as well. The African Union, has long called for civilian rule to be restored in Burkina Faso and Mali, two countries where recent juntas have been widely criticized. Russia is acting against policy by cooperating with the juntas in key areas like defense and security. As if to emphasize the incongruity, summit organizers made sure to leave an empty chair between Vladimir Putin and coup leader Ibrahim Traoré in the official group photo. The unofficial side is kept for hallway conversations and off-the-record meetings, and is never discussed during official sessions. Putin's message to those attending the public forum emphasizes the casual conversations and chance meetings that are often the main draws. Indeed, many people who are known to be channels of Russian influence abroad were present at the summit. Yevgeny Prigozhin was once again in the news. Prigozhin, in contrast to the 2019 summit, met with a delegate from the Central African Republic in St. Petersburg. Victor Bout, who has previously alluded to re-entering business, was also present at the forum and participated in a panel discussion on logistics. Konstantin Malafeyev and his groups were discussed at a panel titled, Russophilia. Panelists included war criminal Maria Elvova Belova and Ramzan Kadyrov's daughter Karina Kadyrova.